Well, I am recording using a new program. I've had it for a while and used it in the past and forgotten how to use it and trying to get back to it. I thought I'd go ahead and do it today because I want to talk to you about what you see is what you get. And so if you're on YouTube and you're looking, what you're seeing is what you're getting, and it ain't that good. Over here on that side over there is that's my aquarium, and I love that very much. And then let's see how to point this out. That's my desk right there where I work on it, and that's a bucket of fresh water that you use to put on there. And so what you see is what you get. You're in my office, and boy, that ain't too good. And I've even got it here where I can switch cameras, but I'm still trying to learn how to do it. So you have to put up with it. I want to talk to you about this, though, because what you see is what you get is much more a truth in Bible terms than you might think. Now, the term originates from and came from computer days. You know, back in the old days when computers first started getting where we could get them, and I've always liked computers, and I've almost always had one. I started out with a Texas Instrument, and I went to Commodore 64, had a tape player that was a hard drive backup. I've just always wanted to be up to date. Now I'm old, and I am slowing down. I don't think I'm doing as well as I was. But finally, they had it fixed where when you would work on your web page, you could see what you were doing, and it would turn out to be what it was when you finished. And they called it what you see is what you get. So you were actually getting exactly what you could see. And I just was thinking about that one day, and I realized that that's so true in your spiritual life. I realized that it's easy for you to not realize that you are looking at what you're getting, or what you see determines how you feel. What you see determines what you're thinking. What you're seeing determines what you are getting. And I want you to understand that. I want you to get a hold of that in your heart. It's a big lesson. I just recently talked to a friend who's going through all sorts of trouble. Everybody's down, and when you let all those memories come up in front of your face, and that's all you see, then that's what you're going to get. So you got to change where you're looking if you want to change what you're feeling. You got to change where you're looking if you want to change what's happening in your life. Now, that won't deny reality. That won't say that it's not happening. It'll simply say that I am looking for the truth beyond the truth. I'm looking for what's true beyond what's true. And that's an important part of who you are and what you do. And in the Bible, we have that very clearly being taught to us, and we see it all the time. We don't pay attention to it. But in Psalm 23, which is where we've been and we've been studying and been looking at, if you've been watching that, then you realize that David's not looking at his problems. He's not looking at his past. He's not looking at his failures. He's looking at his shepherd. And that's where he starts off and says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." You see, he is changing his look to not what's happening right in front of him, but to what's happening above and beyond that. He's seeing the shepherd, not the situation. He's seeing the power of the shepherd, not the shadows that are attacking him. He's in the middle of a battle, but in this psalm, he finds himself seated at a banquet table with his cup running over and his face being lifted up by God. And so in the middle of all the stuff, David sees beyond what he can see. What you see is what you get. And it takes eyes of faith to see the things that God is doing in your life. It takes eyes of faith for you to realize that something bigger is happening in your life. And so that's the story. Now, let me just walk you through the Bible so you don't think I'm just making up positive thinking, or I'm calling on you to just ignore what's true and what's reality in your life. David stepped out to fight Goliath. Goliath, for 40 days, day and night, had told everybody what they were seeing, and they were seeing that this giant that could not be beaten had defeated the nation of Israel, and everyone is cowering in their tents. But David chose to see something different than what Goliath saw. David chose to see that God was bigger than Goliath. David didn't focus in and hone in on the message he's getting from the devil's radio station. He didn't focus in on what's happening that he's listening to. He focused in on what God was saying to him, and he won the victory. He stands before Goliath, looking at Goliath, but seeing behind Goliath that God is bigger than Goliath. 12 Hebrew spies went into the nations that were to be conquered in the promised land. 10 of them saw giants, saw themselves as grasshoppers. What they saw was what they got. So they felt fear and cowardice, and they were ready to quit and ready to give up. But that's not what 2 spies saw. Joshua and Caleb saw that God was bigger and that their enemies would be easy to be defeated because they chose what they saw. See, you have to look beyond what's happening to you. You have to look beyond where you're living. Maybe you're stuck alone in a motel room, or you're in a room and your family's separated from you, and you're just beat up and hurt and you don't know where to turn, but that's not really reality. That's what's happening, and you can choose to see that, or you can look beyond that, and you can see beyond that. You can see beyond that. You can see that God is at work and will be at work. You can see the circumstances, or you can see the defeat. You can see the circumstances, or you can see the defeat. Daniel goes in the lion's den. And what does Daniel see when he gets in the lion's den? He says, I know God will take care of me, whatever happens to me. Remember the 3 Hebrew children, they said, we will not bow down. And if God doesn't deliver us, that's okay. We still won't bow down. They saw something different. And in the middle of it, they weren't alone. The Lord was with them. So you must see beyond what's happening right now. You got to look beyond that by eyes of faith. You got to look on Jesus and see him. You got to realize that. You got 10 spies giving a bad report, but you've got to get beyond the spies and their bad report. You got to get beyond King Saul and his Israelite army that's about to destroy you, or and you're in you're running from Saul, or you're in a cave and Absalom is chasing you, or King Saul is trembling at the face of Goliath, and see beyond that, because you see, what you see is what you get. What you see is what you get. So you got to get the ultimate perspective here. You've got to change perspectives, and you got to say, instead of that, I'm going to see God. It's spiritual perception. It's seeing the shepherd or seeing the situation. It's seeing the provision or seeing the challenge. It's seeing destruction or it's seeing deliverance. It's seeing God doing something or it's not. You choose. You choose. Now, David's fleeing from his son, but what's he see? He sees that God is going to deliver him. And so I challenge you today. I know you're hurting, and I know your life is not what you want it to be. I know that things aren't going the way you want them to go. I know that I've had those situations in my life when things weren't going that way. And here's what I've had to do. I've had to say, stop, focus, put your eyes on Jesus, see Jesus in this situation. Don't see yourself. Don't see what's happening. Trust the Lord. Look to the Lord and see what the Lord's got to say. And I've watched that happen, and I've watched it change my life. So adjust your focus. Decide to shut out the screaming voices. Decide to listen to scriptural truth, not situational truth. Decide that you are going to focus. That's the consistent pattern of David, and that's what he's doing in this situation. So I challenge you today. Now, I know you're hurting, and I would not in any way take away from that. I would not in any way doubt that you are hurting and things are going rough. But there is above, there is beyond another truth. I may be lost and wandered from my shepherd, but my shepherd wandered with me, and I am not alone. He is pursuing me. I may be feeling really defeated and beaten, but I know surely goodness and mercy are following me all the days of my life. And I refuse to stay in the pit and to stay in the destruction and to stay in the hurt that's happening to me. I choose to go somewhere else. I choose to live another way. So what you see is what you get, but you choose what you see. You choose what you see. You can look around and say, boy, look how bad I got it. Or you can look up and say, look how good I got it. You can look around and say, man, I got medical bills and I got to keep buying pills every month that costs hundreds to thousands of dollars. I'm constantly taking medicine, well over 100 pills a day. Or I can look up and say, boy, I got a shepherd who loves me and has provided for me all of my life. What are you going to do? What are you going to focus on? I challenge you challenge you. What you see is what you get. So choose what you see. God bless you. I love you right there where you are. I'm thinking about you and I'm praying for you. I'm telling you that you are very important to the Lord. And you're very important to me. Now, if you're listening and this is of any benefit to you, would you share it with some other people? Would you give me a like? Would you make a comment on the podcast? Would you share the podcast with somebody? That would so help me. I really believe that I am followed by mercy, and I want other people to know they're followed by mercy, and I can't do that without help. So share the YouTube video if you're watching that, and I know it's a mess today, and I hope it's been decent. And then because I'm learning, and then share the podcast and invite others. I also write every day. You can look it up, Followed by Mercy by Austin Gardner. I write on Substack and I write on Beehive, and that's coming out every day. And so I really want to be a blessing to you. I want to help you because I know you're down. I know you're beaten. I know you're in the pit, but I know God has an answer and God is going to take care of you. God bless you. Thank you so much for listening.